In this video I will show you the meds you actually need in Tarkov PvE, just a clean setup that keeps you alive in every raid. This is the kit I run every single raid. An AFAK or IFAK as my light bleed stopper and general health recovery, an Alusplint for fractures, a Hemostat for heavy bleeds, and then depending on my money either a cheap painkiller or a propital if I can afford them. In my secure container I always keep a long duration painkiller as a backup to get to the exit. The reason I use these specific items is simple. They all take one slot. That lets me split my entire medical kit into 4 independent pieces instead of relying on something like a Grizzly, which is like a huge single 4-slot item. And believe it or not, this matters a lot. If I need space for loot, I can drop the splint and still heal. Meanwhile, if you run a Grizzly and you drop it, you lose everything at once. You're basically dead the moment something goes wrong. Additionally, with 4 1-slot items, I can carry all of them in my pockets. So even if I ditch my rig or my backpack, which happens a lot during high loot runs, I still have everything bound in my action bar. In Tarkov 1.0 it was made possible to use surgical kit in your special slots, so I always run my surgical kit there. So that's my full kit. It's cheap, it's compact, it solves every injury in the game, and most importantly it never forces you to drop your entire healing setup. Now let me explain how the injury system actually works and which meds solve which problem, so you understand why this setup is optimal. Let's start with the basic health loss. Normal chip damage to your limbs is handled by your main med, the IFAK or AFAK. You use them to restore HP on individual body parts. Nothing fancy, just quick and efficient healing. Light bleedings are the small ones. They drain HP slowly and are never an emergency. Any bandage fixes them, but my IFAK or AFAK already stopped the light bleeds, so I don't waste an extra slot on separate bandages. Heavy bleeds are dangerous. They drain HP on all non-black limbs and will kill you fast if you ignore them. IFAKs and AFAKs can stop heavy bleeds, but it's very inefficient. For example, the IFAK uses 210 of its HP to solve a heavy bleed. That's why I bring a dedicated heavy bleed item like the Hemostat, so I can stop bleedings and use my IFAK and AFAK for pure healing. Fractures don't kill you, but they make movement and aiming feel terrible and cause constant pain. I fixed them with my Alusplint. It's a 1-slot and it does exactly what I need. Pain is the invincible killer in Tarkov. It messes with your vision, your aim, and can completely screw you over in a fight. That's why I always run a 2-layer painkiller setup. One on my hotbar and one long duration painkiller in my secure container as backup. This makes sure that you have both situations covered. Either you're surprised and you use your hotbar painkiller, or you know you go into a fight and you pre-med with a long-term painkiller. Dehydration happens when your hydration hits 0, usually because your stomach is blacked or you spam meds that drain water. When you are dehydrated, every limb loses HP slowly until you drink something. There's no trick here. If you know you're going into a long raid, bring something to drink. Fatigue is the same idea, but for energy. If your energy hits 0, you start losing HP over time and your stamina gets worse. You fix this by eating anything that restores energy. One food item is usually enough for a typical PvE raid. That's all the important injuries you'll actually encounter in PvE. Now let's put this into practical loadouts you can bring every raid. In the first row we have lined up some items that we never use. The AI2, or as many call it, the cheese, it does not heal any bleedings, so it's not comparable to the other healing sets. If you really have to use this, then you're pretty broke or you're just starting out at the game, and that's fine. But as soon as you can upgrade to one of the other healing setups, then I would never use the cheese again. Same goes for bandage and the army bandage. They both heal bleedings, light bleedings in 2 seconds, but this effect is covered from our healing kits that we have below, so we basically never use these items. Alright, let's look at the healing kits. So the general advice I would give is to bring 400 healing points. Your character has 440 health, so this is basically a full heal. The first we have is the car first aid kit, and it has 220. It uses quite a lot, like 50 of it, to stop the light bleeding, so to have 2 of these is not a bad idea. The next one is the AFAK, and it heals bleeding with 30 HP, which is like very little, so it's fine to bring only 1 of these. The IFAK is one of the items where I'm considering bringing 2, just because the health value is below 400, and we lose like 30 when we stop a light bleeding. So this can be a little bit tight, but I've run multiple runs with 1 IFAK and turned out fine. The Saliva is the classic healing kit. It heals in 3 seconds now, used to be 2, so this is why many people used it. It stops light bleedings, it stops heavy bleedings, so if you are in a bad situation, you can use it to even stop the heavy bleeding, and it still has a lot of health left. Basically the same health a Car Survive kit has left, even after stopping a heavy bleed. Generally, I would advise you to use one of these 3 items to stop heavy bleeds. The first one, the tourniquet, the classic tourniquet, has a use time of 5 seconds, so it's a little bit long, but still works great. I have used these for most of the wipe before I got access to the Kellogg B. The second one is the tourniquet you can get from Peacekeeper, and it has a 3-second use time, which is a little bit faster than the first one. So yeah, might be a good idea to use them if you can afford them. And the best one is obviously the Kellogg B because it has 3 uses, it has a 3-second use time, so it's like faster than the first one. So I always use these if I have them. When it comes to fractures, we want to use either the normal splint or the Alusplint. I prefer to use the Alusplint because it has 3 uses and only takes up 1 slot. Obviously, if you don't have access to this, then bring at least 2 normal splints so that you can fix both of your legs and run to the exit. I mainly used the classic Nalgene Painkiller for most of the wipe, like 32 levels. I almost always bought this one. Recently, I got access to Propital, and it's obviously a better choice. The in-between would be the Morphine, which is pretty good. It has a 300-second duration time for removing the pain and a quick use time of 2 seconds. And it's not as draining on your water as the normal painkiller is. The Propital, on the other hand, will not drain your hydration, and in addition to removing the pain for 240 seconds, it also gives like health regeneration for 300 seconds. So when you are shot by a scav, for example, and you lose like 40-50 health, then you can just pop like the Propital, and it heals the wound by itself. So yeah, it's the best painkiller in the game. The next item on our list is the CMS or Solve 12 kit. These are for stitching back your legs or arms if you lose them in a fight. They are very important, especially if you use your stomach in a fight. You drain hydration and energy so fast that you probably will die or you lose a lot of HP and you need to quit the raid anyway. So if you don't have one of these, then a stomach shot might be the end of the raid. The Surf 12 is like quite late game. So if you find one of these in raid, it's always a good idea to either stick it in your butt, but since the 1.0 release, you can just put it in your special slot and it is safe if you die here. Last but not least, we have the painkillers, and these are the long-term painkillers. Basically, how you need to understand them is this one gives the shortest duration and removes hydration. This one removes both hydration and energy and gives like a medium duration. And this one removes mainly energy and gives a little bit of energy recovery and hydration recovery in the beginning of the use. It has the longest pain removal duration at 350 seconds. So you might ask, what do I prefer? I use either the ibuprofen or the golden star, depending on which one I used last. Reason for it being that I leave them in 1 of 5 or 1 of 8 and then use them in a craft in the hideout. They can craft into 4 Propital, which can be quite a lot of value. And for the bonus round, we have, of course, the Grizzly kit. The Grizzly medical kit is an all-around pack. It gives you 1800 HP. It has a very long use time at 5 seconds. It stops light bleedings, it stops heavy bleedings, it removes fractures. So it's all around. It's an all-around kit to use. If you are very new to the game and you get in fights, in messy fights, I should say, a lot, then you might consider bringing this in your secure container. Editor Max here, and I failed to notice you on a very important detail. The Grizzly medical kit is quite heavy. It weighs 1.6 kilograms, and using the other options will not give you as much weight. So this is like 1 kilogram, 1.1 kilogram combined. So you can save a little bit of weight, especially if you try to run lightweight to level up your endurance. So let's make the loadout. The basic standard loadout I would advise you to use if you are new to the game is 2 car medical kits, then 2 tourniquets, 2 splints, and then 1 normal painkiller. If you're on a higher edition, instead of cars, the first aid kits, you will get AFAKs or IFAKs. So then, of course, you would use them instead. But this works for most of the people, and I think you can buy all of these items at Therapist level 1. Of course, if you have a CMS kit, it's always good to have it in your special slot. and then one of the long-term painkillers in your secure container. So these tourniquets are a bit faster to use, which gives you a small edge in PvP. In PvE, it's most likely not a crucial thing to do, since you can always retreat to a safe space and then treat your wounds. So I never use these in PvE. But of course, as soon as you can, you should upgrade your kit from the normal tourniquets to the Kellogg B. This gives you one extra space in your pockets, where you would add like an AFAK, which would be the next step to upgrade to my setup. I should sort this correctly. I would usually do one splint in the rig and one splint in my pockets, so I can run the painkiller in my pockets as well. The next upgrade to the next best loadout would be to remove the normal splint and add an Alusplint, so get one extra space in your rig. On some of your raids, you will find a Surf 12 kit, and then you will change the CMS to your Surf 12 kit. The reason being that this one, it has a longer use time, yes, but it restores a lot more health to the black limb, and it will remove fractures as well. So basically, if you're running out of splints at some point, you can use this to fix your fractures. And this one has a shorter use time, but it restores less health to the black limb, and it does not remove any fractures. So the Surf 12 is the superior choice, especially in PvE, where you can retreat to a safe space to treat your blacked out limbs. The next upgrade here would be to use a different long-term painkiller. So basically, if you can use it and you have the craft ready, use either of these two. It doesn't matter which one you use first, you need to use them both to get them to 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 8 to do the craft. You can craft obviously with 5 out of 5 and 8 out of 8, but it would be a waste of money. Last but not least, now upgrade our painkillers to a Propital. This is like very good because again, it restores health over time, so you don't need to spend like healing points from your AFAK to restore small wounds. There's one additional painkiller on the market, and it's called Augmentin. This one is not worth it. As you can see, it's very expensive compared to normal painkillers, so we would never use this. So for the final and biggest setup, this would be the setup I would propose. If you're in a situation where you get shot a lot, then you bring your Grizzly kit in your secure container, you have your normal meds bound to your hotbar, and then you will be able to heal wounds in a combat scenario where you are fighting active enemies. And in addition, you can retreat to a safe space and use the Grizzly to fix all of your wounds. I don't need this anymore, so I would remove it to have more space for valuable items in my container. But in your case, it might still be a good idea to do that. A small tip that I want to give you, which will be in a tips video on its own, but since it fits the healing theme very well, I will show it right now. So if I go to settings and controls, you see that I have my hotbar bound like this. Slot 4 is the number 4 and slot 5 is the number 4 as well. The difference being that the second one is press and the first one is release. So if you bind the meds the same way I do, which is like this one presses first. So on press, this one triggers. And if I have a heavy bleed, it will use this item. And if I don't have a heavy bleed and I have a light bleed or just HP missing and I press 4, then on release, it will trigger this one. So now it would heal the light bleeding or would heal up my HP. Additionally, I can just press down 4 and scroll my mouse wheel to get the full treatment option like this. So it works with all of the options in game. And I think it's the best keybind setup for this situation because you see you bleed and it's a red icon in the moment in the stress of combat. You might not see it's a heavy or it's a light bleed. And this way you don't have to think about it. You just press 4 to heal the bleeding. And if it's heavy bleed, it will automatically pick up the Hemostat. And if it's light bleeding, it will automatically use the AFAK. 6 and 7 are the keybinds for my Aloe and Propital. So to summarize one more time, I usually run the setup. It works great for me. Of course, again, if you need more healing, you should bring more healing. You can bring an additional IFAK like this or run it in your container as well if you feel the need to have that additional healing. And it was a sneak peek into the topic of stims, which will be a separate guide video as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If so, it would be nice if you subscribed and comment down below what's your favorite healing setup. Bye bye.